Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to the automation campaign. And yeah, in today's episode what we're going to do is we are going to be making the next generation of our little hatchback and continuing on with our little platforming streak we have got going here. We are going to try and see what other vehicles we could potentially make from this hatchback, and following the trend of the real world, of what the manufacturers did in the real world at this time, is they took these little hatchbacks and made little minivans out of them. And I'm not that against the idea of making a ridiculous minivan. But yeah, we'll have to see what options are presented to us. But I definitely want to try and get into the delivery segment. It's a very open area where we haven't actually got anything in yet. And what have we got to lose if we are just putting a slightly different body onto a chassis? So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. And this is the platform we will be going with. And yes, it does look very weird right now, but trust me, you can make this roofline slope down a lot more, and I think it's going to look really, really good. So we're going to use this, and we're going to be happy with it. As for the engine, we're going to go with another turbo variant. So we are going to make a very hot variant of this vehicle, being this one that we're making. We're going to do all-wheel drive with an advanced automatic 5-speed, and apparently it has a ridiculously high top speed, which I don't believe. So we're going to do a geared LSD. We're going to have to wait to see what the power distribution says. Medium compounds, and we are going to go for slightly wider 215 tyres. These are really wide tyres, especially for the time, but I think they could definitely work. And we will do 16 inches for the big rim size. So vented 4 pistons on the front, like we've done so far. We'll make them nice and big. And yeah, I mean the rear ones can be a bit smaller. I think 270 will be fine for the rear. And yeah, so we're gonna do a sports undertray. Actually, no, let's do just a fully clad undertray. I would love to go with a sports undertray, but we still need to keep this car somewhat realistic. We'll go with a standard interior with a premium CD, since this is the expensive variant. We'll go for a slightly more expensive infotainment system. We'll go with electronic stability control. This car's going to have that now, which is going to be very exciting. We'll do just normal standard 90 safety. And yeah, so progressive, adaptive dampers and semi-active sway bars, and we should have a relatively good platform to work with. It is more on the sporty side, which is exactly where we want it. And yeah, so stuff like brake forces, all that good stuff, we can tune that out. And yeah, I think so far we've actually got a really good platform here. So yeah, let me get to work on this car, make it look like let me get to look like a good car. And yeah, I'll be back with you guys shortly. And so, let's have a little voiceover on the time-lapse, and I just want to mention a few things that are happening on the channel, I guess. And one is that we have just had our first collaboration, which I am which I'm very happy to have been a part of. It's such a cool car that ended up being created because of it. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for the good reception to that. And yeah, another thing, this is going to be the last video edited on Blender. So for the past year I've edited this video on Blender, or all the videos on Blender. Yeah, I'm going to be moving to another video editing software, meaning that the video's quality may not be the same as they used to be, but I will definitely try to push myself to make the best videos I possibly can for you guys, like I've always done. So yeah, looking forward to switching that up. And yeah, I mean, let's have a little talk about the car. I am very excited to show you this car because pretty much all of it on it is custom made. There's barely anything on there which is a fixture from the original game, and I'm really happy with the outcome of it. So I am definitely going to push myself in the future to make even more customly detailed cars. And yeah, I'm very happy with the outcome of this vehicle. But yeah, I'm going to leave you watching the time lapse. I hope you guys enjoyed the car. If you did, yeah, just say something, I guess. I don't know. I don't usually say things like this, but yeah, have fun with the time lapse. And here we have it, the brand new Crid, and honestly, I think this is the perfect evolution for our company. It looks so good, I think. It looks very blobby, because that's what the cars in the time actually looked like. They looked very blobby. But I think I managed to get the design down really, really nicely in the theme of our company. And I just love the design of this. I've decided to try and make custom taillights and custom headlights, and I think that worked out really well as well. And yeah, I think we've come out with a really good looking vehicle here, so let me go make the other variants, and I'll be back with you guys shortly. And as for the van variant, this is what it looks like, and I think this, if this does well, then we will definitely sell more different variants of it. I really like the idea of this whole entire thing, because, yes, it does look a bit weird, but it's useful. I think that's the whole. To be fair, that's the whole point of this variant of this vehicle. It's supposed to be useful, but I do quite like the way it looks. It's still got that sporty style to it. But yeah, I can't wait to see how this car sells. So yeah, let's get to selling it. And so here we have the 4 different variants. We have the Turbo, we have the Advantage, the Essential, and then the van. And yeah, I can't wait to see what these cars actually become, because they seem like really decently look. They are decent looking in my opinion. And if they sell as well as they look, I think we're in for some good profit here. So let's have a look at how we'd like to do this. I want this car to release for 2001, so in 5 years, so 60 months. So this, how it is right here, should be fine. Engines, yeah, we can't really do much about that, but what we're going to do is we're going to replace the Crid factory, because this is a very big factory, meaning we could produce a lot of these small cars, which is, pretty much exactly what we want to do. We want to try and sell as many of these cars as possible. Now, I know the engine factory is going to be overworked a lot. I think a large one factory should be fine, mainly because, we can't do much about the engine factory, but yeah, but we should be able to get away with this. So if we sell about 2,300 a month of each variant, then we should be making some decent profit out of these vehicles. So let's increase the wages a little bit so we can have some workers coming in a little quicker. So there you go, 12 months until the workers arrive. And yeah, I think this is exactly where we want it to be. It's going to be a bit of a costly retooling, but I think it's going to be worth it. So let's reduce the QA threshold a tiny bit so we can produce some more cars. And yeah, let's have a look at how much profit this car makes us. The answer is a lot. Nearly 10 billion after 10 years. We aren't aiming for 10 years for this car to be in production, maybe 2 to 3 years, but still, after 2 years, after 3 years, over 2 billion credits. That is a lot of money. So yeah, let's put this car up for sale and put it into BeamNG Drive. So as for loans, we're not going to take out a loan as per usual. And before we take this car into BeamNG, let's go to 2001 and see how much profit these 3 cars, these 3 platforms will be making us. And yes, you guessed it, we have an engine factory problem. Oh no, we don't have an engine. We have a recall on the engine. 53,000 engines, and you know what? Let's do a quiet recall on this, as it's not going to cause too much problems if it is caught. And there's only a 25% chance it is caught, so let's do a quiet recall and fix the vehicles when they come in, and we'll be paying for everything. So yeah, quiet recall. Why? 2 factories have a higher retooling cost, so yes, we'll pay in cash, and yes, we're all paying cash. It's only 125 million, because I don't know if you guys have been watching, but we have been making a lot of money, and we've we don't have any outgoing loans, I'm pretty sure. Do we? Oh, we have 10 million in loan repayment. That's yeah. All of this is money we are making despite having to pay for factories and development and tooling and engineering and all that good stuff. And yeah, it's crazy how much money we're making right now. This company is doing an absolute skyrocket in terms of its in terms of money. So I can't. We need to make some bigger projects for the future. Okay, this is getting ridiculous now. Like, it's like every couple months I have a retooling problem, and yes, I'll just pay. I think I'm just gonna skip over them from now on in the time lapse. I'm just gonna do them, and then yeah, I'll just tell you afterwards how bad it went. But yeah, we started to lose money now because the factories come in, but we have some cars making us profit, like the original Crid and the Snap is apparently making us money. Not sure how that's happened. But, yeah, we have the Crid, which is still making us money in the background. It'll be making us money until the next generation Crid comes out. And yeah, so far so good. And so the first car from... Oh, why is the game starting? And so the... the Promoter's released. And it is making some stupidly crazy money. Some ridiculous, like a lot of money. And yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest, I'm kind of speechless with the amount of money we're making from this car. But I did have a little scare in thinking that we didn't have any factories built for it. But then I remembered that we had these two factories, and then we also had... Because this car used the old engine, which we don't have a factory for anymore, but yeah, absolutely crazy. So let's continue until 2001, and I'll be back with you shortly. And me being the clever person forgot to record the last part of that time-lapse, but yeah. The Udforsk got released and is producing, is making us a lot of money, which I'm very happy to see. We're going to pause order on these trims. Yeah. Worked out really, really nicely, and yeah, you know what? We're gonna end the time. We're gonna end the time forwarding here because we still need to facelift the remote, and we don't want to leave that until too late, so we can actually like make money. Like we don't start losing money on the remote. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the new Crid into BeamNG Drive and give it a drive, and yeah, see what it's like. And here we have. I mean, this is the essential model, but I think this car. Looks incredible in BeamNG. I don't know what it is with BeamNG, but the way that the cars just port over is incredible. They look so good. So yeah, let's give this car a little test drive. I do like this car a lot. This is very much a city car, which is exactly the sort of thing this is meant to be. I mean, this is targeted at the city demographic, and yeah. I mean, this car does drive very normally. It's got a very soft suspension setup, it's got slightly smaller wheels, and okay, the steering wheel's on the wrong side, but you get the point. It's a very it doesn't look too aggressive, it fits in very well, and if you put your foot down a little bit, it does accelerate quite nicely. Let's see how it takes a corner. Oh, the brakes are very good on this. And the grip is there as well. Something about the setup is with these vehicles really makes it work very, very well. I think it's because we've got this very advanced setup in our cars. Oh, this car does drive really nicely. I mean, to be fair, like I say in almost every single video, this car isn't supposed to be driven like at speed. This car is a city car at heart, but it's always fun to see where the limits of some of these cars lie. Because then you can sort of gauge whether this car is really made for the job, or if it's more able to do more than just what it's set out to do. And I think this car very, very nicely encapsulates that, in that it's sporty where you want it to be, but it's also very, very tame when you want to drive it through a city. Hard on the brakes. It does take these corners very nicely. And I love the way this car looks. Especially the front end, it turned out so nicely. And since we are here in the city, we might as well take the van for a little drive as well. I mean, I could definitely see this being a very sought after car. Because this is one of those cars you can also just buy for personal use. Because if you have like a little thing where you like to carry your tools around the wherever, or you have a little workshop where you need to bring stuff to and from, this is exactly the type of car that you'd want. It's comfortable, it is basically just a normal car with a bit more storage in the back, and it does have very stiff suspension in the rear, but that's just because if you want to actually carry something, then the suspension can cope with it. Let's see how fast this car can go down this little hill. It will interest me to see if this actually does handle as nicely as... Ooh. The fact that it survived that is astounding. You could really tell that through the ages how the cars start to handle a lot better, where it's not just the handling that improves, but it's also that the safety of the handling. That was a little lag spike. Sort of, the car, if you mess up a little bit, the cars in modern times are much better at catching themselves and fixing your error than how the older car did, and you can really tell that with these cars. But yeah, this car doesn't have that high top speed, I think about 180-ish kilometers an hour. But yeah, I think this car is essentially just that perfect blend between road car and utility vehicle, like the van. It's just perfect for that job. And yeah, this is the Advantage model, and it looks pretty similar to, well, the other two cars, which would make sense. It does have some slightly bigger wheels and stuff, but the real difference is that this car has the 1.5 litre, not the 1.5 litre, it has 150 horsepower, that way around, with the 8,000 RPM 2 litre engine. Which sounds absolutely ridiculous. Oh, let's rev this out, I want to hear this. Oh my goodness. I mean, to be fair, this car isn't slow. Like I said, these cars are supposed to be city cars, and it appears that even when they're on full throttle, they can do these sort of trips very nicely. Let's see how it handles this corner. This is a very infamous corner for me. Oh, that was so easy. This car is just so drivable. If I were to take a normal road car from the time, I would buy this. It not only does it look good, but it drives really nicely, especially with that engine. It is very fuel efficient. It revs to 8,000 RPM if you wanted to. And what more could you ask for a car like this? I really do like this car. But yeah, here's the turbo, and you can immediately tell that this car is much more aggressive looking. From the little hints of body kit, to the widened wheel arches, to the wider tires, to how much lower it is, and the rear diffuser, and just all of it. You can tell that this car is faster. So let's see how fast this car really is. So yeah, let's have a look at how good this car launches. I have a feeling the first 50 kilometers an hour are going to be really nice in this car, so let's see how fast this car accelerates. This car just accelerates overall incredibly quickly. It's still going. It's still very much going. And we're in the highest gear now. But it's still pulling. Little tiny hatchback. And it's very maneuverable at high speeds as well, which I'm quite surprised about. That's 230 kilometers an hour. That's 240. How fast can this car go? 250. Can we hit 260? 260. 270 kilometers an hour. in a teeny tiny hatchback. This car is ridiculously quick. So yeah, let's take this car around the test track and see if it actually drives as well as I think it does. And I've forgotten to turn off the stability control settings, so let's quickly do that here. There you go. And see how fast this car can go. I feel like I'm going to just crash it again, but to be fair, this car is really stable despite having 255 horsepower, all-wheel drive, and it having such a short wheelbase. It does understeer a tiny bit, but that's what I sort of expected from this vehicle. And yeah, this vehicle, why is it so drivable? Even I can drive it. It takes those corners beautifully. So let's see how fast this car can get on this track. I'm gonna guess around 220 to 230 if I can make this corner. Okay. Maybe not. Okay, so let's actually see how fast this car can go around this corner, down this back straight, and I'm assuming quite quickly. So let's have a look here. So, can we hit 220, 230-ish? 230, I hit 230 and I'm on the brakes and I just about made the corner. This car is really fun to drive. It's a lot more tame than the previous generation Crid, but for some reason it's much more drivable. And this is exactly what I sort of expected from modern cars, is they're much more tame than the older cars. Like, they're much more drivable. Like, the other cars were much more on edge all the time, and this car, that edge feels all like that line, that line of and yeah, with this car, I feel like that limit line is a lot bigger. Like like the width of that line is a lot larger, where you could drive this car a lot more on the limit, because that limit is that difference between driving it under the limit and over the limit is a lot larger. And yeah, this car drives really, really nice. I'm very happy with the outcome of this vehicle. I mean, it does understeer a lot, but that's sort of what I tuned it for. I feel like a short car like this needs to be a bit understeery, but yeah, I'm going to end the episode there. It has been an absolute pleasure making this episode for you. I've had a lot of fun making this car. Pretty much everything on it actually is custom made, so yeah, I hope you enjoyed the design of this car. But yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and yeah, bye bye!